Welcome to another episode of Battle for the Belt. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about soybean harvest and considerations during a drought. So right now in Ohio, there are a lot of areas that are abnormally dry or even experience moderate to severe drought. This is not ideal conditions going into harvest. We saw a lot of issues last year. So looking back last year at the drought monitor at this time, there were a lot of areas in central and southeastern Ohio that were experiencing a D3 or even D4 drought. So as Ohio was experiencing this D3 or D4 drought in the central and southern portion of the state, Hurricane Helene was also coming in and making landfall off the coast of Florida. This brought rainfall to the central and southern portion of the state, which was experiencing those drought conditions. And so extremely dry soybeans followed by rainfall can be extremely problematic at harvest. So what we saw last year, because of the D3, D4 drought, before the hurricane even came through, we were seeing pods that were compromised. So some pods that were starting to split open, and they were down to 6 to 10% moisture levels. Then the hurricane came through and we received a lot of rainfall between September 26th and September 30th. And that totaled 2 to 8 inches depending on the part of the state. And our temperatures were in the mid to high 60s. After the rainfall stopped, we went out to look at soybeans and the plants had turned black and our pods opening became much worse. We were seeing soybean seeds actually sprout from within the pods. This is a photo from the Western Agricultural Research Station last year for our Battle for the Belt project. Those soybeans that were planted early on April 16th were more affected by the rainfall from Hurricane Helene compared to our later planted soybeans there in the background on May 6th. The early planted soybeans were drier and further along in maturity when that hurricane came through. Our soybean pathologist, Dr. Lopez Nicora, took plant samples from Battle for the Belt to see what was going on, and he was able to look at fungal colonization of the stems, pods, and seeds. He collected seeds and pods from the good areas and the bad areas. In those areas where the pods and seeds turned darkened color, he found some pathogens. The primary ones were Diaporthe and Phomopsis from that complex, also Cercospora, Fusarium, and Alternaria, along with other saprophytic fungi. So really, looking at this year, timely harvest is going to be very important. Don't delay soybean harvest after 13% moisture if you can avoid it. I know sometimes people may wait for rainfall or other undesirable conditions to go away like green stem before they harvest, but really if the soybeans are ready to be harvested, timely harvest is very important, and waiting can leave them very vulnerable to rainfall. Looking ahead in 2026, we know that soybean seed, when it's produced under poor environmental conditions in the fall, can lead to germination issues. We saw some of this year in 2025, where seed germination was a little bit lower than what we would expect because they were produced under those drought conditions followed by wet conditions due to the hurricane. And then just in general, best management practices, make sure you select pathogen-free seed and disease-resistant varieties. This will help enhance your crop resilience. Consider using a fungicide seed treatment to prevent disease transmission from the seed to the seedlings. And make sure you implement crop rotation with non-host plants to reduce soil-borne pathogen levels and lower future outbreak risks. In summary of what to think about looking at planting and harvesting strategies, really collectively we have to consider these together to strengthen soybean crop health and productivity, though unpredictable weather events can still pose challenges that are unavoidable. If you're interested in learning more about this topic, we published a paper in Crop Forage Turfgrass Management to look at the effect of Hurricane Helene in Ohio, but really throughout the soybean growing production region. So I encourage you to check that out if you are interested in learning more.